Where are we going today? Yay! We have arrived in the Dominican Republic!
Popon, how Dominican Republic looks like?
The Dominican Republic is a country on the island of Hispaniola, located in the Caribbean Sea in Central America. The island was formerly known as Haiti in the Taino language, which means land of mountains. Today, the Dominican Republic is inhabited by Europeans, especially Spaniards, African, mestizos, which is a mix of European and African, and Taino people.
Wow, the population is very diverse, Pon.
Hehehe, long ago, the Taino were the native inhabitants of this island. But significant changes occurred in 1492, when Christopher Columbus set foot on this island. From possibly millions of Taino people living here, the population drastically decreased to only a few thousand. This was due to the new diseases brought by Europeans, such as smallpox and influenza, as well as warfare and slavery. Spain, which needed labor or slaves at that time, they recruited slaves from Africa during the Atlantic slave trade. That's why the population in the Dominican Republic is so diverse, and so is its cuisine.
Whoa, let's eat later, Pon. I want to enjoy the beauty of this beach first.
Let's just enjoy it another time, Dad.
But this is the Dominican Republic.
Don't be sad. Popon will recommend food that will cheer you up. The first one is La Bandera Dominicana. This dish is the national dish of the Dominican Republic. It was created due to the cultural blend of African, Spanish, and Taino influences. Literally, the name of this dish translates to the Dominican flag. This dish consists of long-grain white rice, stewed beans, and meat. According to history, La Bandera Dominicana is a representation of the cultural fusion and influences that shaped this country. The native Taino people used to consume foods consisting of cassava, corn, beans, and vegetables. The arrival of the Spanish brought a significant influence on Taino culture and food. The Spanish introduced new ingredients such as rice, beef, pork, and chicken. The arrival of Africans also brought a significant influence on this dish, incorporating local ingredients and cooking technique. Over time, this dish evolved into what we know today and became a symbol of unity and national identity for the Dominican people. To make it, you need to cook rice until it is soft and dry on the outside, also known as concon. Then, you stew red beans or black beans with tomato sauce and spices such as onions, garlic, celery, and bell peppers. For the meat, you can use chicken, pork, beef, or goat. The meat can be boiled, roasted, or fried. And voila! You have La Bandera Dominicana! You can also add side dishes like salad, tostones, corn fritters, or fried eggplant. Hehehe, the second one is Piccapolo!
Huh? Piccolo?
No. It's Piccapolo. Piccapolo is a type of fried chicken from the Dominican Republic that is very famous here. It's savory and crispy. You can eat it with tostones or salad. Tracing back its history, it is likely that Piccapolo is an evolution of chicharrón de pollo, a fried chicken dish brought by the Spanish to the Caribbean. Secondly, when Africans were brought to the Dominican Republic, they indirectly introduced the method of frying and seasoning chicken with rich flavors. Thirdly, Piccapolo got a local touch by adding unique Dominican spices and seasonings, giving it a distinct flavor compared to the other fried chicken in the world. That's what makes Piccapolo special.
What is the difference between Piccapolo and Chicharrón de Pollo, Pon?
Chicharrón de pollo usually uses chicken pieces with skin, while Piccapolo can use various chicken pieces. In terms of seasoning, Piccapolo is more complex. It has adobo, oregano, sazon, lime juice, and sometimes a bit of rum. On the other hand, Chicharrón de pollo is only seasoned with salt, black pepper, and a bit of garlic. The frying technique is also different. Piccapolo is only fried once until cooked, while Chicharrón de pollo is usually fried twice until crispy and golden brown. In terms of taste, Pica Polo has a more complex and aromatic flavor with spicy, tangy, and savory notes. Chicharrón de pollo, however, has a savory and crispy taste. And that's the origin of Pica Polo!
Anything sweet, Pon?
Of course there is. It's flan de coco! Flan de coco is a caramel pudding dessert that is very popular in Spanish-speaking countries. Flan de coco is a variation of the traditional flan. Flan itself is a pudding that was modified during ancient Roman times and was originally called tyropatinam. It was made with cheese, honey, and eggs. Tyropatinam is also mentioned in the Roman cookbook Apicius, which is a collection of recipes from the 4th to 5th centuries AD. The main difference between tyropatinam and flan lies in the ingredients. Tyropatinam uses cheese as the main ingredient, while flan uses milk or sweetened condensed milk. Flan also adds caramel as a base, while tyropatinam does not. And flan is a development from tyropatinam that became very popular in Spain at that time.
What about flan de coco?
When Spain landed in Caribbean, they indirectly brought their culture with them. That included flan. When Spain ruled, there was a mix of local and Spanish cultures. As a result, flan also got an enhancement with the addition of coconut milk and grated coconut. The ingredients for flan de coco are quite simple. We only need eggs, milk, grated coconut, sugar, and spices like cinnamon or vanilla. To make it, we need to make the caramel first. Mix sugar and water, then cook over medium heat and stir occasionally until the sugar dissolves and turns golden brown. Then pour the hot caramel into the flan mold and set aside to cool and harden. Next, prepare a large bowl and whisk the eggs until well blended and mix in the coconut milk, sweetened condensed milk, evaporated milk, vanilla extract, and salt. Then add the grated coconut and stir until smooth. Before cooking, you need to strain it to make the mixture smooth and creamy. After straining, place the mixture into a large baking dish and pour hot water into the baking dish, so it reaches halfway up the sides of the flan mold.
Huh? What?
That's a technique for cooking using indirect heat to heat the ingredients evenly. That technique is called bain-marie. We need 2 pans to use this technique. The bottom pan is filled with water and heated on the stove, while the top pan is used for cooking the mixture. Using a smaller pan, place inside the larger bottom pan. The purpose of this technique is to provide gentle and indirect heat, which is ideal for cooking dishes with ingredients that easily burn, such as chocolate sauce, custard, and cheese.
Oh, I see.
After the flan is cooked with bain-marie, the next step is to bake it at 175 degrees Celsius for 60 to 70 minutes. Then, remove the flan de coco from the oven and let it cool at a room temperature for about an hour. Then, we can refrigerate it for at least 4 hours. And voila! We can enjoy flan de coco!
I can't even describe.
And lastly, it's Mama Juana!
Oh, marijuana?
Mama Juana! Mama Juana is a traditional drink from the Dominican Republic created by the Taino people. Originally, this drink was an herbal concoction used by the Taino for medicinal purposes and spiritual rituals. They mix various medicinal plants, roots, and barks into a large jar called a Dama Juana. Since the arrival of the Spanish in the 15th century, rum and wine were introduced and started being mixed into this concoction. This is the Mama Juana we can find today.
Oh, why do I suddenly feel so happy?
Wow! A beautiful ending! That's it for today. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. See you in the next country!